Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a story that literally defines the modern digital age. We're going to trace the wild evolution of a simple university project that started in a dorm room and somehow transformed into the digital infrastructure of our everyday lives. We're exploring the architectural and strategic rise of Google and how exactly it engineered its way into becoming the world's absolute most powerful search engine. Now, to really appreciate this story, we first have to wrap our heads around the sheer, staggering scale of Google today. We're talking about billions of daily interactions every single day. Billions of us across the globe rely on this platform. We use it to answer fleeting curiosities, navigate our way through new cities, and even run the back-end infrastructure of massive global corporations. But here's the thing. This isn't just a measure of heavy traffic. It represents an unprecedented data moat. Every one of those billions of queries feeds their algorithms, refining their accuracy every second of the day. It's a scale of behavioral data collection and reliance that is practically unmatched in human history. Which brings us to the core mystery of our source material today. How exactly did two university students build one of the most powerful tech companies in history? I mean, how do you scale from a single dorm room server to billions of deeply integrated daily users? Okay, let's dive into this and look at the exact technical and strategic mechanisms they used to pull the whole thing off. Chapter 1, The Search Problem. So, to understand the solution, we've got to look back at the chaos of the early internet. If you recall the web before Google, you know that search engines back then, think platforms like AltaVista or Lycos, relied heavily on keyword density. This meant their algorithms primarily just looked at how many times a search term appeared on a page. The result? Well, pages were super easily manipulated by keyword stuffing, the actual user experience was agonizingly slow, and honestly, the results were just deeply frustrating. Finding precise, authoritative information was virtually impossible because the web was fundamentally unorganized. Google entered this chaotic landscape with a promise of immediate relief, significantly faster processing on the back end, and crucially, a vastly superior ranking methodology that couldn't just be easily gamed. Section 2, Birth of PageRank. The origins of this solution started at Stanford University with Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Their initial project, a search engine playfully called Backrub, eventually gave birth to the PageRank algorithm. Now, what's really interesting about this is how it fundamentally changed the math of search. Instead of just indexing raw text and counting keywords, PageRank analyzed the link topology of the web. It basically treated links like academic citations. It weighed not just the sheer quantity of links pointing to a web page, but the actual authority of those referring pages. So if a highly trusted site linked to you, your page's rank increased proportionally. It was an absolute breakthrough in organizing digital chaos, essentially using the web's own architecture to surface the best answers. Armed with this revolutionary algorithm, Page and Brin moved fast. They dropped the name Backrub and officially incorporated as Google. This marked a rapid, massive transition from a dorm room academic project to a heavily funded startup. Securing early investment was absolutely crucial, famously kicking off with a massive $100,000 check from Sun Microsystems co-founder Andy Bechtolsheim. Fun fact, that check was written to Google Inc. before the corporate entity even officially existed. From there, they moved out of the university and set up their first physical office space in Susan Wojcicki's now famous garage, building out the hardware and team needed to really scale this thing. So, the crucial point is that this early momentum led directly to explosive growth, because Google offered vastly superior ranking and a notoriously clean, distraction-free interface, which, by the way, was a stark contrast to the incredibly cluttered web portals of the late 90s like Yahoo. Word of mouth spread like wildfire. Users abandoned older platforms in droves because the utility was undeniable. The homepage loaded instantly, the results were highly relevant, and it simply worked better than anything else on the market. Almost overnight, superior engineering conquered the whole space. Section 3, Building the Google Empire. And this brilliantly illustrates the relentless pace of their strategic conquest. They didn't just stop at search, right? They began methodically becoming the infrastructure of the internet itself. In 2004, Gmail disrupted the entire market by offering an unheard of 1 gigabyte of free storage, completely changing our expectations for email. In 2005, Google Maps essentially digitized the physical world. The 2006 acquisition of YouTube secured an unshakable grip on the future of video. And then the 2008 rollout of the Android operating system and the Chrome browser ensured Google wouldn't be locked out of the mobile or browser markets by competitors like Apple or Microsoft. They built this inescapable ecosystem where every product fed valuable data right back into the core search engine. But to support billions of users across this ever-expanding ecosystem, they've required unparalleled computing power. The search bar looks simple, but the backend is unimaginably complex. Google quietly built out a massive foundational infrastructure of global data centers. We're talking about billions of dollars in massive capital expenditure to create highly optimized custom server farms scattered all across the planet. This invisible, sprawling Google Cloud infrastructure is the backbone that allows their algorithms to run seamlessly, processing exabytes of data every single second without a hiccup.
Section 4. Navigating Modern Challenges.
Now, the reality of being the world's most powerful digital entity brings immense stakes and constant scrutiny. The source material imparts three major external pressures currently facing the company. First, there are significant privacy concerns regarding how vast amounts of user data are collected, tracked, and monetized across their sprawling ecosystem. Second, they face intense, ongoing antitrust investigations across multiple continents, with regulators heavily scrutinizing their market dominance and the potential for monopolistic practices. And third, there is fierce technological competition from emerging AI platforms that are threatening to bypass traditional search entirely. Managing these immense pressures while avoiding crippling regulatory action is absolutely critical to their continued survival. Section 5, the AI era. Let's move to and see how this builds right into our final chapter. We are now living through a technological paradigm shift that is easily as monumental as the invention of the original search engine itself. Google is pouring vast resources into generative AI and large language models, notably their flagship model Gemini. The goal here is deep AI integration across their entire product suite, powered by their advanced cloud infrastructure. The battleground has fundamentally shifted. You see, it's no longer just about retrieving a list of blue links. It's about having AI synthesize, generate, and intelligently reason with information on our behalf. When we look back at the journey from a Stanford dorm room to this AI-driven future, this quote from the source material really stands out to me. Google didn't just organize the world's information. It changed the way humanity accesses knowledge forever. It is a profound statement about their historical impact. By democratizing access to information, they literally rewired how our brains seek out facts. We no longer have to memorize raw data, we just have to know how to search for it, which has permanently accelerated the speed of human learning and global innovation. But as we all know, past success never guarantees future survival. I want to leave you with a final thought to consider. As AI ushers in a completely new framework for the internet, can Google maintain its absolute dominance over online search? The rules of the game are fundamentally changing, competitors are moving fast, and the empire is facing its greatest test yet. It's going to be absolutely fascinating to watch how this next chapter unfolds. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the technology that shapes our world.